You get to a certain age and think you've earned a little more respect, a little more consideration. I'm 69 now. My name's Helen. I've spent my whole life putting family first, raising kids on a single income after my husband died young, scrubbing toilets and folding laundry until my hands cracked, babysitting grandkids without ever asking for a dime. That's what mothers do, right? That's what grandmothers do. We sacrifice. So when my daughter Jessica told me a few months ago about the family trip they were planning to Disney World, I smiled so wide my cheeks ached. "We're all going, Mum," she said, bouncing baby Noah on her hip. "Me, Mark, the kids, maybe even Mark's sister." I was already picturing it. Warm sun, family dinners. Watching my grandkids scream with joy on roller coasters, I was too old to ride. I even thought, maybe, just maybe, they'd planned it as a surprise for me too. Maybe they'd remembered how long it had been since I had a vacation that wasn't a funeral or a rushed visit to a cousin's house. 2 weeks before the trip, Jessica dropped by with a list, a real list. I thought it might be an itinerary, with hotel bookings and ride schedules. Nope, it was a schedule for her dog. Feeding times, medication times, preferred walking routes. "So," Jessica chirped, like she was telling me I'd won a prize, "we were thinking you could stay here and watch Bobo while we're gone. It'll be great, Mum. You'll have the house all to yourself." I sat there blinking at her, holding that ridiculous list like it was a bomb about to go off. "You mean I'm not coming with you?" I finally managed to ask, my voice smaller than I meant it to be. Jessica gave a tight little laugh. "Oh, Mum, traveling with you would be so exhausting. You know how you get tired easily. Plus, Bobo can't go to a kennel. He has separation anxiety. It's just easier this way." Easier. That word stung more than a slap. I didn't argue, didn't plead, didn't even let the tears threaten my dignity. I smiled, I nodded. I said, "Of course, sweetheart. Anything you need." And when they packed up their suitcases and drove off to the airport a week later, I stood on the porch, waving like some loyal old dog left to guard the yard. Bobo barked at the door as they drove away. He was confused. So was I. But somewhere, under the hurt and humiliation, something inside me began to stir. Something fierce. Something long overdue. That night, while Bobo snoozed at my feet and the TV droned on about magical castles and family adventures, I opened my laptop. I typed in vacations for seniors. Clicked, scrolled, clicked again, and then I saw it. The Maldives, white sands, turquoise waters, peace, a place where no one would hand me a dog-sitting schedule. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding like it hadn't in years. Maybe it was petty, maybe it was impulsive, but that night I booked a week-long stay at a luxury resort. First class, oceanfront villa, spa treatments, the whole 9 yards. I left Bobo with Jessica's friend Karen, who owed me more favors than she could count. I packed my modest suitcase, the good sandals, the loose dresses I used to save for special occasions. And 2 days after they left me behind, I locked Jessica's front door behind me with a final little click that sounded suspiciously like freedom. You don't realize how small your world has gotten until you're sitting barefoot on a white sand beach, the sea breathing at your toes, and you feel lighter than you have in decades. The Maldives weren't a dream. They were better. The kind of beauty that doesn't demand your labor, doesn't ask you to mop, fold, babysit, or fix. It just lets you be. I sipped on fresh coconut water, watched the sunset bleed every shade of orange and pink into the sea, and for the first time since my husband died 30 years ago, I thought, this is mine. This moment is mine. Meanwhile, back in Ohio, Jessica's vacation was winding down. I knew because my phone started buzzing around day 5. First, a text. Jessica, hey Mom, we're back tomorrow around noon. Can you have the house aired out and maybe pick up some milk and eggs? I smiled at the gall of it. I put the phone down and walked out onto my villa's balcony, where a bottle of chilled champagne and a plate of tropical fruits waited. I didn't reply. The next morning, a missed call. Then 2. Then 5. By the time I returned from my snorkeling trip, I had a string of voicemails lined up like ducks. Jessica's voice, increasingly frantic. Mom, where are you? Mom, this isn't funny. Bobo's not here either. Mom, did you leave? Where are you staying? Call me back. Oh, my darling Jessica, the house was empty, the dog was gone, and their dependable, invisible matriarch? Gone too. Karen had picked up Bobo on schedule. I left Jessica a note, nothing dramatic, just a neat little card on the kitchen counter. Family vacations are meant for family. I decided to take one myself. Don't worry about Bobo. He's with someone who sees him as more than a responsibility. Mom, it wasn't cruel. It was clear. I had nothing left to explain. Back in my villa, I laughed to myself. Not a bitter laugh, but a light one. The kind that bubbles out when you realize you've been carrying a load you never had to hold on to forever. The staff at the resort treated me like royalty. They called me Madam Helen and brought me extra towels without asking. They smiled when they saw me, not because they needed something, but because they genuinely wanted to. Every day, I woke up to a breakfast spread fit for a queen and fell asleep to the lullaby of waves licking the shore. Jessica texted me again later that day. Jessica, you're being ridiculous. You should have told me if you wanted to come with us. We could have made arrangements. Like squeezing me into the itinerary between stroller rentals and dinner reservations. No, thank you. I turned off my phone after that. Not out of anger, out of peace. Some things didn't need answers. Some silences were the answer. By the time I landed back in Ohio, my skin was sun-kissed, my shoulders lighter, and my heart, oh, my heart was full in a way it hadn't been in years. I didn't rush home. I didn't call ahead. I took my time, stopped for a nice coffee at that little cafe I always used to pass but never had time to visit because I was always rushing to help someone else. Sat there for nearly an hour, just savoring the sweetness, because I could. When I finally pulled up to Jessica's house in the rental car, yes, a rental, my little way of reminding myself that I could, and stepped onto the porch, the tension inside was thick enough to slice. Jessica threw open the door before I even knocked. She looked different, not vacation refreshed. She looked stressed, frazzled, like someone who had finally realized the glue that held everything together had slipped right through her fingers. "Mom," she gasped, "where have you been? We've been worried sick." I smiled gently, the way you do when a child tries to blame you for their own broken toy. "I took a little trip," I said calmly, brushing a leaf off my sleeve. "A real vacation." She opened and closed her mouth like a fish. Mark hovered awkwardly behind her, and the kids peeked around the corner, sensing the adult drama, but too young to understand it fully. You could have told me," she finally burst out. "Like how you told me I was staying behind?" I asked, tilting my head just slightly. Silence. "Jessica," I said, soft but firm, "family trips are supposed to be about family. You made me feel like an afterthought, like a convenience. And it hurt." She flinched, blinking hard, like she hadn't expected me to say it out loud. "And when you hurt someone," I continued, You don't get to be shocked when they choose themselves. Mark cleared his throat, mumbling something about needing to check on the kids. He disappeared faster than smoke. Jessica stood there, face crumpling. I could see the guilt trying to wedge its way past her pride. I didn't mean to leave you out, Mum, she said finally, her voice small. I just thought you wouldn't enjoy it. You know, all the walking, the crowds. I gave a small shrug. Maybe I would have. Maybe I wouldn't. The point is, you didn't ask. The weight of it settled between us. Heavy, real. And in that space, for the first time in a long time, Jessica seemed to really see me. Not just the grandmother who babysits at the drop of a hat. Not just the dependable backup plan. Me. After a long pause, she said, I'm sorry, Mum. Really. I nodded. Not because I needed the apology, but because she needed to give it. I'm glad you had a good time, she added, quieter. You deserve it. I smiled then, the kind of smile that forgives but doesn't forget. I know, I said simply. Jessica asked if I would stay for dinner. I politely declined, not out of spite, but because, for once, I had plans with myself. A quiet evening, a hot bath. Maybe I'd even start planning my next adventure, because the world is wide, and at 69, I finally remembered. So is my life.